Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're doing JMA Friday today, having a look at the weather for the coming month with the Japanese and CFS V2 models. So we're in this unsettled spell of weather now, and that's going to be staying with us certainly for the coming week. We'll see whether that is going to extend through into July. This takes us almost to the end of July, so we're going to cover almost the second month of the summer with this update. So it'd be very interesting to see what the longer range models are indicating this morning. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages. You have a browser widgets and click through the links, you'll be able to pay the website, and thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages which own content when you watch them, they close back up again. As I say, it's paying for GavsWeatherVids.com. It allows me to have the website and sit here and talk to you via GavsWeatherVids.com. Just say next week I'm going to be launching a bit of a charity fundraising event for the Coventry and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance at the website. So I'll be talking a little bit more about that next week. Going to start off with these pictures. These were sent to me by Liam on Saturday last week in Maidstone in Kent. With one thing and another, I've not got round to showing these to you yet, but there are some excellent pictures of lightning. So we've got one here of a very dramatic flash of lightning, bolt of lightning ripping open the sky, and another one there, very vibrant flash of lightning. And then this one is probably my favourite, very dramatic looking picture of lightning, say, ripping apart the sky from last Saturday in Maidstone in Kent. Thanks very much to Liam for sending those through. Sorry it's taken me so long to show those in the videos. Remember, if you've got any weather pictures, you can always email them to us at GavsWeatherVids@gmail.com. We're always happy to show those pictures. Of course, with lightning, you have to be very careful that you're taking all the precautions and get all the protection you need, because it can be very dangerous, particularly when it's fork lightning with bolts going down to the ground. So do take care when you're taking these pictures. But if you get some good pictures, you can always email them to us at GavsWeatherVids@gmail.com, and we are more than happy to feature them in the videos when I get round to it. Right, let's get on with JMA Friday. We're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies for the next month. Then we'll have a look at the CFS V2. So with these, of course, as you know, blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and yellow, orange, the brighter colours are extrapolating to high pressure. So for the coming week, this is broken down to week periods, and this is the coming week from the 1st today through to the 8th of July. For the coming week, you see a trough of low pressure around to the north of the UK, and a ridge is to the south, and then the jet stream is coming through the country a bit like that. So it does look really quite unsettled that there'd be showers or longer spells of rain most certainly coming through. Quite a strong westerly jet stream coming through as well. So I think that's pretty cool, and unsettled conditions going through into the first week of July. We get through into week 2, and we see that we've got a trough of low pressure to the north and to the northeast of the country. A ridge is building to the southwest. It's not doing a great deal for us, I don't think. The jet stream is a line sort of northwest to southeast, a bit like that. It's probably not quite as unsettled as that first weekly period, but nevertheless, that still looks pretty changeable and probably quite cool as well. I don't think that ridge sitting to the west of us is really doing us any favours in terms of bringing up warmer temperatures. So that looks quite cool. Probably not quite as wet as week 1, but generally changeable, mixed conditions there from the 8th through to the 15th of July. And then week 3 and week 4, which is the 15th through to the 29th of July, that one shows that the trough of low pressure is more centred towards Greenland. A ridge above average heights is out to the west of us. The jet stream's going a little bit further north, but that ridge still isn't in an ideal position. Not a great deal to go on with that one, but if we concentrate on where the ridge is, or the above average heights are, it's out to the west generally, so it does place on the cooler side of a jet stream even then. Maybe a little bit drier and warmer because the trough is lifting out more towards Greenland, but overall I would suspect that's still fairly coolish and maybe even still a little bit changeable. Let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies from the JMA for the coming months. So this is again recap of the 500 millibar height anomaly that we're just looking at. Remember, on these charts, the UK is in the very far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So for the coming week, the 1st through to the 8th, we've got that deep trough around the UK, as we know. It means that the temperature anomaly is coming out cooler than average, and quite significantly so, actually. That does look a very much cooler than average week there. In terms of the rainfall anomaly, that's coming out a bit wetter than average in the north, or perhaps substantially wetter than average in the north, nearer normal to the south, but it is quite a changeable week coming up there. Have a look at week 2, which is the 8th through to the 15th. Remember, we've got the ridge out to the west, and the flow is doing something like that. It's a bit drier, but probably still fairly cool. That's backed up by the temperature anomaly, which is coming out cooler than average. And then for the precipitation anomaly, it is turning a bit drier. Scotland's still wetter than average, but elsewhere turning a little bit drier as those heights rise to the west and southwest. And then week 3 and week 4, which is the 15th through to the 29th of July, that places a ridge to the west of the UK, and again the flow is going something like that. The temperature anomaly is recovering there in the second half of July. It's generally going a little bit milder than average, so there's a slight recovery in the temperature. Not a heat wave by any means, but just a little bit warmer with that ridge closer to us. And also the precipitation anomaly is coming out generally a bit drier than average by this period. Again, not a great deviation, but just a little bit drier than average there. So it does imply that the second half of July perhaps sees an improvement to somewhat, don't want you running away with the idea, but talking about the heights of summer, but somewhat warmer and drier in the second half of July. That's for JMA, this is CFSV2. And again, we're going to start off 500 millibar height anomalies. These are broken down into weekly periods. So the first week period is taking us from the 1st through to the 7th of July, the week that we are just starting. Again, same idea, green and blue extrapolates to low pressure, red and orange extrapolates to high pressure. So for the coming weekend, very, very similar to the JMA, trough of low pressure to the north, a ridge down to the southwest, and the flow going through the country like that. It's cool, it's unsettled, it's changeable for the coming week. Week 2, which is the 8th through to the 14th of July. Again, very similar to the JMA. Trough of low pressure, generally a little bit more to the east and northeast of us. Ridge out to the southwest. Trough in the northwestern Atlantic, and again the flow is going a bit like that. So perhaps a little bit drier as that trough lifts out towards Scandinavia, but certainly nothing particularly exciting happening with the temperatures. We're still bringing down the air generally from the northern Atlantic. Week 3 shows an improvement. We've got a ridge building in here in week 3 from the southwest, so it certainly looks dry. I think the jet stream is probably doing something still a bit like that, so it's probably not all that warm, but it would be drier through that week 3 period from the 15th through to the 21st of July. And then week 4, which is the 22nd through 28th of July, again above average heights, very close to us, but all the time generally centred out to the west, which means that the jet streams and the flow still going something a bit like that. So whilst it is drier through this second half of July, I don't think temperatures are all that exciting. To get hot temperatures, you really need to set the ridge up to the east of us, essentially somewhere over Scandinavia or Germany, that sort of area, and then that allows the flow to go into the south and southeast and draws up hot air off continent. If you have the ridge to the west, it means that the flow will come off the Atlantic, and at this time of year, in the winter of course, the Atlantic is a mild direction, but at this time of year, the Atlantic is going to have a cooling effect. So Not particularly warm temperatures, I don't think, for the second half of July, but certainly significantly drier conditions. Let's see if that's backed up by the temperature and precipitation anomalies. Finally, so week 1 temperatures, the 1st through to the 7th, significantly cooler than average. That's in agreement with the JMA. Week 2, also in agreement with the JMA, with significantly cooler than average temperatures again. So the first 2 weeks of July looking really quite cool indeed. Week 3 temperatures, still a little bit on the cool and average side, but closer to normal. Not as cool a deviation, if you like, compared to weeks 1 and weeks 2. Nevertheless, still erring a little bit on the cooler side. And then week 4, which is the 22nd to 28th of July, that one closer to average. So it does imply that the second half of July sees a very, very slow and gradual recovery in the temperatures, not into hot categories or even particularly warm categories, but certainly warmer in the second half of the month compared to the first half. And then the precipitation finally, so precipitation anomalies for the coming week, the 1st through to 7th of July, generally a little bit wetter than average. Week 2 precipitation, that looks a bit drier, generally going a little bit drier than average in that period, although remember the temperatures are still quite cool. Week 3, which is the 15th, 21st of July, that one again looks drier than average, so there is a drying trend evident here. And then week 4, which is the 22nd to 28th of July, again a little bit on the drier than average side, particularly to the north and the west, maybe less so in the east. So I'm not sure I've got anything to get particularly excited about here. It looks like we're going to have quite a dismal start to July, with the temperatures generally significantly cooler than average and precipitation generally wetter than average. As we progress through the month, we're probably going to see the temperature staging a little bit of a recovery, getting back close to average, but I wouldn't be expecting a particularly hot spell at any point really through the month, based on this anyway. Remember, these are experimental, but based on these, no real sign of a heat wave, but a bit of a warming trend into the middle and last stages of July. And precipitation starts off quite wet, and then again we see a gradual drying trend to go along with that gradual warming trend through the month. So maybe an improving picture, but again, not a huge amount to be getting excited about if you're looking for heat waves and that kind of thing. Remember, these long-range models are all very highly experimental, so it's not to be relied upon. Tomorrow we'll be doing the week-ahead forecast. It's also CanSIP Saturday tomorrow, where we'll have a, just for fun, look at the next 6 months from the long-range Canadian model. And what else we've got to say? Also, coming up later, we've got Terry's July month-ahead forecast, and the gas weather this month-ahead forecast will be released early tomorrow as well. So a lot going on at the website. Keep checking back for more. Sunday, it's the NAO forecast for winter 2016-2017. So that'll be very, very interesting on Sunday morning. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.